Hello guys, welcome to another video of this do-it-yourselfer channel. Today I'm gonna show you how to operate one of these vacuum pumps on a vehicle. I'm gonna run on a vehicle today. It's just brand new. It came like on a kit, and I'm gonna just teach you just the basics of it. And on this particular vacuum pump, they're pretty much similar. You have quite a few different things. Right here is the exhaust cap. Every time you use it, you gotta remove this cap, so that way the exhaust came out. Because this is a vacuum pump, it's sucking the air out of the lines. Also, this serves as oil fill cap, the oil fill cap. You put oil in here. When it's brand new, it comes without oil, so you have to add it on, and this is where you add it on. This is cap. You got to remove it. Obviously, this is where the hoses are gonna be connected. The base, obviously the motor, and right here on the back is the fan. So when you're running the pump, make sure there's nothing on the back covering it. So right now we're gonna fill this thing with oil, because when you use it, you gotta make sure you have oil. Otherwise, you can damage the pump, and it will not do a proper work. So we're gonna remove the cap, and we're gonna throw oil until we are in the maximum. Probably a little bit low than maximum. So the kit itself, it came with this high premium vacuum pump oil, and this is where we're gonna throw it in. Slowly. And right there on the window, is going to start showing the oil that we're putting in. There he goes. There he goes. So we're probably halfway. And bingo. I got it right to the max. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna keep the rest, because over the time the oil level, it starts going down. We're gonna replace the cap. Okay, and now we are ready to vacuum the vehicles out there. The kit should contain these hoses with a meter. They're right here. And this is the kit. It comes with quite a few fittings. And well, we're gonna go ahead and start it. We're gonna do it on a Mitsubishi, and I'll show you what to do. So next, we're gonna put the hoses together, and this is very self-explanatory. This is to read the temperature. This is pretty handy, and it comes with 3 hoses, which is the blue, yellow, and red. And I explain the function of each one of them. We're gonna get the hoses out of the package. And we got the hoses out of the package. And okay, so the red is for high pressure. The yellow is to feed, and the blue is for a low side pressure. And if you look at your meters, it's very self-explanatory. You got the blue, red, and this middle is where the yellow is gonna go. Now I want you to see the ends of the hoses. On one end they're a little bit bent, and on the other end is straight up. Okay, so the ones that is straight up is the ones that you're gonna hook up to the meter, the manifold gauge. Okay, this is where you're gonna connect them. So this is very easy. You remove this little plastic cap and you connect the hoses right there. Same thing with the red. Remove this, and I'm gonna connect the yellow one. The end. I mean the. I'm so sorry. The blue one. The end that is straight, just like that. And the red. Once you have all three of them, I want you to tighten them up really good by hand. You don't need to extra tighten it with pliers because you can damage the gasket just by hand. Now we got two more things to do, which is, since we're gonna be working on a vehicle, we're gonna connect the quick disconnect valves. Now it's very self-explanatory again. Blue, it goes with the blue. You get the end, and we're gonna connect it. Also by hand. Now we're gonna connect the red. Quick disconnect, and we're gonna connect it to the red. Now once you have connected these valves, I want you to put it on the close mode. So it tells you what to turn it, which is counterclockwise. And watch that little valve, it just goes up. Okay, yeah, so make sure it's closed, beginning the job. Now these things right here on the side, this disconnects, is just to keep it in place, so that way you can keep it. Notice how you have a big fitting and a smaller. That's for the high side, and the other one is for the low side. To connect it, all you have to do is push this thing back and then push it in. That's exactly the same thing you're going to be doing on the automobile. Also the low side, I want you to put it on the close position. That makes it easier to hook it up in the vehicle. We're gonna push this back and connect it, just like that. Now, so let's get to the engine part. Okay, so we need to identify the high side and the low side, the high pressure side and the low pressure side. There is a couple of ways that you can do it. You know, you gotta follow the hoses to see where the ports are. You know, some of them, like on this case, you got on the cap marked H for high side and low for low side. Then, well, you already know which one it is. But if it's not, or another way to identify is that sometimes the low side, it has a blue cap, and the high side has a red cap. Sometimes, if you do not have that, there's a way to identify it by looking at the hoses. The thin hose, it's a high side, and the thicker one is the low side. Also, by taking the caps off, you will be able to identify the ports. The low side will not fit on the high side, and vice versa. Okay, so let's get it done. Let's connect the hoses, and let's keep going with the job. As you can see, I was making a mistake. I was trying to connect the low side on the high side. Again, try to make sure you tighten these things by hand really good before connecting all over. So I'm gonna try to push it. Since this is too weak, I'm gonna have to put my hands through the bottom. And let me see if this can capture it. But I'm gonna pull this. It's a little bit tight right there. And click. Gotta make sure it does the click. Okay, right now I have in the close mode. And now another thing you gotta take a to make sure is that it's not close to the belts, otherwise you're gonna damage the hoses. Now I'm gonna connect the low side. Okay, the low side. I'm gonna make sure this thing is closed. It's easier to connect when it's in the closed. And when filling up with freon, we're mainly going to use the low side. Okay. Now, once we have that in place, now we have to connect the yellow hose and choose whatever valve is going to be suitable for us. Let me see what we got. This is a thicker one. That's for a different valve. That's for... Alright. So right now we're going to be using this. And we're going to connect it right here. Got to make sure this is connected, otherwise it's not going to be working. So we got everything connected. Everything is connected. Everything seems to be in place. I'm just gonna double check that everything is tight in here. Okay. As you can see, it didn't make any noise because it had no freon on it. And we're gonna make this little puppy work. So we're gonna take the exhaust, put it aside, and now we're gonna turn it on and start doing the vacuum. Okay, now we're gonna start doing a vacuum. We're gonna open in here both high side, and we also have to open the valve. Now you can hear the noise and you can see how is things coming out, and same thing with this. we're gonna open it. What it does is by opening it, we push the valves. All right, and now it's working. And we're gonna let it run. And we're probably gonna let this thing run for approximately, I'm gonna say about 20 to 30 minutes and see how things are looking. So I'm gonna talk about a little bit about the can, the freon. This it uses a 134A, these vehicles. Okay. Now I want you to see the top off. If it's got that little hole, that means that you need an adapter. Before, the old ones, you used to use this valve in which it will open it. It will tear this thing apart and fill up. But since this already has a little hole, we're gonna put this in a closed position or bring it all the way up. I don't want the needle to be here right now. Okay, I'm gonna bring it all the way up. Now these cans, they need this little adapter. So this little adapter, we're gonna put it in. What it does is that needle is gonna push that down and the freon is gonna come up. The good thing about it is that you can reuse them. So you can put the proper amount. So we're gonna put it on. Nothing is gonna come out because we haven't pushed the There's two ways. Oh, no, there's no two ways. There's only one way to put the freon on these vehicles, which is on gas mode. So if you put the can like this, it's gonna suck the gas. The can, if you put it backwards, it's gonna throw it on a liquid form. This you should not do, because if you throw it on the liquid form on the low side, it can damage the compressor valve. So we're gonna try to maintain the can upright like this and throw the freon in it. The pump's still going, and one of the ways that you can see if it has a good seal is if you put your hand and you don't feel nothing coming out. That's a good sign. If you feel air coming out, that's not a good sign. I mean, there's probably a leak somewhere. And right now it's doing a really good vacuum. I don't see anything coming out, and I'm just gonna let it run for another few more minutes, so that way I can get all the air out of here. I'll come back to you whenever I'm ready. So I am about to stop doing the vacuum, and I want you to see this little thermometer, and the dial indicates that it's probably around 90 degrees, 85, 90 degrees. Yeah, it's 90 degrees. So we're gonna go ahead and stop the vacuum and start putting the freon on. Okay, so I am in the process of turning off the vacuum pump. We already did a vacuum for like half an hour. It indicates very good vacuum. It's on the -0 on both sides. Before turning off the vacuum pump, I'm just gonna turn off the valves right here. That's gonna prevent from air going inside when turning off the equipment. Okay, so this is completely off. And we're gonna turn off the pump. And we're done with it. We're gonna disconnect it from here. Now, we do have another good indicator if there's leaks on the systems. When everything is turned off and you see these needles moving, that means that you probably have a leak somewhere around there. Right now, they're indicating they're pretty steady. There's no leaks. There's no leaks. And we're gonna proceed by installing the or throwing freon on it. Remember this, it was in the closed position, and I'm just gonna put the valve in here. I'm gonna okay, so I'm gonna connect the yellow hose to the valve, and I'm just gonna keep tightening it so that way I get freon on it. Okay, so I got the valve connected. It's open. Now I'm gonna let this thing open a little bit until freon comes out. You hear that? Okay. This is a purge. What I'm doing, I'm purging the hose so that way no air is trapped in there and you throw it back into the system. So now that we have that, right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the low side only. I'm gonna throw freon. I'm gonna let it run. And if you notice, I have some hot water out there. I brought some hot water, and I'm gonna let you know in a minute for what. Now that I threw the freon on it, it's time to turn on the vehicle and the AC. I'm gonna turn on this, and I'm gonna turn the AC at the highest mode. Okay, and the lowest temperature that you can. Remember that I already threw the freon on it, and we're gonna see if the compressor is kicking on, and it is kicking on. Alright, sometimes the vehicles somewhere around here, it tells you how much freon it uses, like in here, and it tells you 9 ounce, 9.5 ounces. Which means that it only takes 1 can. Okay, and we're gonna be reading the gauges. Now, as soon as you let the freon go, you're gonna feel the can very cold. That's because of the condensation. So that's why you have the hot water. We're still gonna throw it on the gas mode, and we have to put it on hot water so that way we can let more freon go. Okay, this takes very little freon, less than 1 can. This is the first time I see a car taking less than 1 can. But anyway, throwing a little bit more than freon, just a little bit, won't hurt much. You can see the gauge, and the gauge is always supposed to be between 60, the low side, and 100, 150, the high side. And everything is looking pretty good. I'm gonna go inside and check the to see how the temperature is coming in here. And we can see now that the temperature is getting low weekly. Now got low to 80 degrees. So this thing is cooling. It's cooling pretty good. Okay, it's going. Sometimes I like to shake the can, not up and down, but to the sides to get the gas all frozen. Put it back on hot water and check the gauges. It's at 50. It still can go a little bit more. And we're going to check the gauge inside. As a rule of thumb, the outlet should be between 35 and 40 degrees. And right now it's on 60, which is getting pretty good. We're getting there. You see the little mark, green mark? That's when the AC is doing its max job. It's working perfectly. And as you can see, needle is going down, so we're getting there. I'm gonna put a little bit of gas so that way it can suck in more freon, and we're gonna let it run slowly but surely. So I let the system run, and as you can see, we had reached our desired temperature. It's about a 1 degree low, but this is good enough. We had reached the temperature. We put 1 can only. You don't put more than one is supposed to. So it's always a good habit to search how much ounces of freon your vehicle uses. So we have finished doing a vacuum and installing the freon. Everything seems really good. The low side looks really good, the high side too. If the high side is too high, sometimes you have a clogged radiator, you gotta clean it, or you have another problem. But we had reached our job. We finished the job. Now the only thing we have to do is just disconnect the hoses. And what we're gonna do is first we're gonna close these valves right here on top. Both of them. This one was already closed, but I'm gonna just make sure it's closed. I'm letting suck the rest of the freon on this hose. I'm gonna let it run a little bit. And with the vehicle running, I just gotta make sure and be very careful with your hand. Do not put it on your belt because you can really. And I'm gonna close it. And this thing closes by pulling the valve off. I'm gonna close the high side too. Once we've done that, it's time to turn off the vehicle. Temperature desired. It's really cold. It feels really good, and we did a very good job in here. Turn it off, and we're gonna go outside. And all we have to do is disconnect the quick disconnects on both sides. What you do is you just pull it. See, you didn't hear anything, which is good because these valves, I closed it. And I also gonna disconnect the high side. This one I need 2 hands on it. Okay, so once this disconnected, we're gonna put the plugs back on both sides. I'm gonna put it on that side too. Okay, and don't forget to put the plug back on the pump. And that's it, guys. We finished the job. This is the proper way to do a vacuum on a vehicle and refill with freon. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me down there. The lines, please put the thumb up and like this video if you want more videos like this. I have hundreds of it, and you know, that keeps me going. And thank you so much for watching my videos, guys. See you next time. This is it.